So just over the past couple of days, we have lost a white young male by the name of Charlie Kirk, which his main purpose on the internet served to be a political activist where he would make a lot of conversations with many people that tend to either disagree or agree. And if they did, they would have a long formatted back and forth conversation with each other. Now, with Charlie Kirk meeting his end very fatally to some shooter out there in the distance that hasn't yet been unveiled yet to the public, or has the shooter yet been uncovered by the FBI, at least to my understanding. The death of Charlie Kirk has shaken up a lot of talks on the internet. And with the many talks on the internet, you might be thinking, okay, well, it's a lot of people giving out their condolences and a lot of people basically wishing for the demise of the shooter or for the shooter to be caught captive. But that would actually be the very opposite of what happens. And instead, we have a lot of people actually celebrating and parading the death of Charlie Kirk in this very incident that just happened. Now, as I have stated before, Charlie Kirk was a well-known political activist who had many talks and conversations that were very, very controversial, and he himself has campaigned for the likes of Donald Trump. Yes, the same Donald J. Trump, who is our current US president, who a lot of people have already made known that they don't really like him at all. In fact, even Donald Trump went through something very similar not too long ago, where he himself could have had his life taken in the same manner that Charlie Kirk had. Now, this whole thing is very shocking, at least for me, the way I see it. I don't think the internet would feel that way, especially after many of the tweets, many of the things that I've seen on the internet. I'm just going to talk about personally what I think and just from my brain. Obviously, we didn't know Charlie Kirk. We don't know him. We don't get to see his personal life. We don't get to dig deep inside his mind and truly know the person who he was when he lived on the earth with us. But as we know for certain, is that when Charlie Kirk was still breathing and living here on earth, we know that he did not partake and commit crimes that justified what just took place a couple of days ago with his own demise. Now, me personally, I'm always under the belief that if somebody were to voice their own opinion and their own truths and what they believe to be true, I don't think, no matter how egregious it may sound, no matter how egregious it may even be, I don't think it is fair nor it is appropriate to then decide to pull out a weapon and decide the fate of that person. And even if you can't find some type of middle ground, you agree to disagree. There shouldn't be a large amount of hatred coming off of a conversation that isn't even personal. It doesn't even go beyond the lines of attacking you personally, attacking people that you like personally. It doesn't even go there. And that is something that Charlie Kirk has lived by for quite a while in this whole business that he's been doing. But while many people out there that has had their fair share of gripes and has illustrated about how the way they felt about Charlie Kirk during this whole incident, how they ultimately feel as though the conversations that he presented to many people in open discussions that have led to things that have been a bit controversial, I shouldn't even say a bit, has been widely controversial to many of the public. Does that justify a crude act of such violence that took place on this man? And if the answer is yes for you, then I would personally like to ask, how would you view the importance of human life? Where would you draw a line in the sand as far as death to a human? Do we now have to put people on guillotines and trials for many of the things that they may say, and we have to be very critical of the words that come out of people's mouths regarding many things that other people tend to disagree with, even if it's not morally correct? Since the First Amendment of the US Constitution literally provides and includes one of the very things that we use on a daily basis as us Americans do, which is freedom of speech, where we are able to make and conjure up many different conversations and hypotheticals or say many different things that go outside of the truths that may have been written already in history, just maybe for our own entertainment or just to conjure up some type of informative conversations between both parties. And as we know, Charlie Kirk was born on US soil, so this would very well apply to him in this case. And the biggest thing for me with Charlie Kirk isn't that he was the most decorated, perfect individual that had no wrongdoings, couldn't do any wrong. No, it's not that. The main consistent issue that I see that is very abysmal is the celebratory actions between a lot of people on the internet. And while that may not be all that surprising, considering that the internet is the internet and people will celebrate just about anything just for the purpose of doing so. I mean, you can go outside and you can go talk to an individual in day-to-day life, and you will probably never ever hear, nor will you ever witness the things that you see when you're scrolling on Twitter. I think we can understand that. I think we don't have to put too much stock into those that have the troll accounts that dedicate whatever they need to say just to get a reaction, or maybe it is that they actually believe it, but it's just people that don't have a face and people that have not made their mark on the internet as real life individuals. I don't treat them as such. I don't think people like that have a functioning brain. I don't think they have a brain at all. Whatever they do have, it's not human. But those are the people that are on the internet that have a platform, that have shown their face, that have shown that they have lived outside of the internet in some type of capacity. I think those particular people that reside on the internet should look at this from an objective lens, not just letting whatever hatred that they have for a specific person because of what they say speak for them, but a proper understanding of what life is, what we cherish as life as human beings, how we have loved ones in our life, how we ourselves have more than just a thought process and when we're speaking, and how we should be the ultimate deciders on how a person lives or dies by the words that comes out of their mouth. And please understand when I say this doesn't apply to the people that specifically go out there and break the law, are criminals to the law, are deliberately people that do not want to coexist with other human beings. We're not talking about those that should be thrown underneath the jail and have cases where they're facing life in prison for doing such things that were very egregious and quite frankly irredeemable to come back from. People who go out there and murder other people needlessly for the love of it, not just for the sole protection of themselves under self-defense, and other people who have a love connection to younger people, that type of degree of crimes. But rather, I'm speaking about other people that may not be looked at like good human beings. They may be looked at like they're very flawed, and they have said a lot of things that may have upset other people, but never came at the cost of ruining or putting grave danger to people's lives. I think people can understand that that level of sheer evilness can put you at such a point where you're not even looked at like a human anymore. And the sheer things that you have to go through mentally to even commit such egregious crimes as that is crazy to me. Like, you literally have to bypass so many blockers in your brain to even do such things like that. Almost like self-deletion in a sense. Let's say if you had no specific type of mental disorder that is pushing you over the edge of trying to do that to yourself. And with that, let's just say somebody offered you all the money in the world and all you had to do was play a game of Russian roulette. And normally in this situation, given the great risk that it is, a lot of people would decide not to do it. But let's just say a group of people decided to fully commit and convince themselves that they're going to do it. They aren't second guessing themselves, they're completely with it. There would still be a big hesitation before even pulling the trigger. It's like no matter what, your brain would have receptors and things in place to stop you before you could even get the strength to pull the trigger. It's like a failsafe for your body. Your body's basically telling you that there's danger being met with every single chance and opportunity of even getting to the point where you want to squeeze on it.
Bro, what the fuck what did you just say?
And I say that to bring that back to people who deliberately go out there and commit these such crimes, that they do it just for the sake of doing it, that it's more than just a simple, sly little accident that could be made up or whatever type of excuse that they want to give themselves for it. Like, it literally takes a certain type of individual to bypass all of those frequencies in your brain and just committing yourself to such things that you know you will never be able to come back from. No matter how much you may hate or dislike people like Charlie, to use a gun to eradicate the existence of his life is inhuman. It's completely animalistic. And you don't even have to be a fan of somebody to defend something like this. This should be obvious. Like, things like this happening in front of many different people, in front of loved ones, it's just sickening. And the way he had to go out like that is just, it's ridiculous. Oh, and supposedly right now, I guess since I'm already seeing it, it seems as like they already have the guy that did it. Never would I think being on the opposite side of celebrating a man's death publicly would be freaking shamed online. But hey man, RIP to him. Condolences to his family for real.